Very
Okay,
okay. Great. Thank you
got
for
it.
the reminder.
Okay,
All
so
right,
welcome,
action.
welcome everyone. And I'm glad that you're all here. And
The Lone Ranger. Silver! A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger. Hi-Yo Silver! Away! With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early West. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. The Lone Ranger rides again.
so that's what we plan to do tonight is ride again. So here's a little background on us and Ohio Silver. So Ohio Silver wasn't, for those who aren't from Yellow Springs, is was in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And Chris is my father, and Roz, as I see her, she's here too, was an industrial designer. And he, one of the things he designed was the Tucker car, and thus my name. So he was a great designer. And this is Chris and me at the construction site for his studio in Yellow Springs. And there's Dad and Bud in front of it when it was finished. And so we learned a lot of, from our dad about how to fix things and make things. But we also learned a lot from our mother about the purpose of things. And so here's our family from the left to right: me, Heidi, Roz, Mom, Chris, and Dad. And so, in fact, Mom was the one who kind of started us in the jewelry business, because she bought a bunch of jewelry supplies and put them in and tried to make jewelry. But later on, she started, she was really into design and stuff too. And she started this store in Yellow Springs called King's Yard Goods, where she sold imported design stuff. And, everybody knows Yellow Springs now because of Dave Chappelle. But one of our introduction to the jewelry business, the real business, was from Norman Mahan and Linda, who had a jewelry store in town and hired a bunch of high school kids to have in a sweatshop to crank out the jewelry for them. But so here's a map of Yellow Springs, and there's where Ohio Silver was, right downtown. So now let's imagine it's back in November 1971. So Chris on the right had been making jewelry and stuff and had a store in Yellow Springs called Standing Room Only. And I came back to Yellow Springs and decided to go into business with him. And we decided to name the place Ohio Silver. It was actually Laura Rader's idea for the name. And she designed a lot of the our graphics and stuff. So this is the announcement of the opening of it in November on 1971. So here's a picture of the front of the store and our signs that we put up, and the what's his name? The guy from the Yellow Springs News came and took a picture of Chris and me. And so Bill decided that we needed to have a mask. So he quickly cut one out of leather and dyed it black. And so the fumes from the mask were making me cry during this shot. But so, like I said, Laura made a whole bunch of cool ads and flyers that we put up around town, and we made a lot of jewelry. The weird part is that we don't really have that much. Anyway, we also made stained glass windows and, like I said, leather goods. And we got into leather. Bill Manns really helped us do a lot of leather work, and he had this store in Dayton where he made leather stuff. It was called Head Knife, and just before we opened Ohio Silver, he had sold it. But he'll probably tell you more about that later. There's an old belt I still have. And here's a picture of Carrie and Marcia's mom in the workshop. There's Carrie in the front of the store where with our showcases that we made. And here's Chris in a color picture of the same thing. So you can see the kind of displays and stuff we had. And these are the stained glass windows that we had made for the cases, which Chris still has in his shed. So here's another piece of jewelry we made. We made pretty simple constructed things out of silver wire and stock. Chris was doing more complicated things like this melted piece. Here's some more. I was like experimenting with using plastic and silver. Money clip, bracelet. Here's some more bracelets we made. So you can see they're pretty constructed kind of things. We also there's a detail of a plastic piece. And we also made things based on Laura's drawings. So there's on the left, Laura, Carrie, Marcia, and me, and having a good time. And here's that's a necklace that we made, and there's the ad for it. Laura would draw stuff like a snail, and then we bought or I don't know which order it came in. We got this stone, and she goes, "It looks like a snail shell." So she made it, drew a snail, rabbit. Here's another one of Chris's belt buckles. I think he says this belongs to Tom Northway. Here's we got a lot of African trade beads and made them into cool things. Oops. And then one day this guy, Dwayne Jones, who was in Night of the Living Dead, came into the store, and he had these gold rings that looked so beautiful on him. And he told me they were 24 karat gold. And so that's when I caught gold fever. So eventually Chris and I realized we wanted to do different things. And so we were getting ready to close down the store, and but Carrie and Marcia came forward and decided to take it over. And here's a picture of Chris after he moved to Virginia, and he's making all kinds of interesting sculptures and things down there. Me, I went back to Pratt, and this is a silver coffee pot I made. And of course, I'm famous for working on Good Grips, but also in New York, Bill and Judy were living there, and now Bill's living in Santa Fe and riding high on the out on the prairie. So, like I said, Carrie and Marcia took over the store. Carrie was really into sculpture, and here's some of the work that they made. And then Carrie moved to Atlanta, and now was teaching sculpture and also building sculptures. And here's one that he made that's in the Atlanta airport. And there's Marcia stayed back at the store and made a lot of her own jewelry, and then eventually she ended up being more of a store than a workshop. And she's been there. This is from the Yellow Springs News for 40 years, and now she's still running the place and doing a good business. So that's what I'm really excited about. Ohio Silver is still open, and I made a little book, and if you want to order, it's on Blurb. So anyway, that's my introduction to Ohio Silver. So take it away, Joe.
Okay, thanks, Chad, for the intro. We heard your version of events. Chris, I was wondering, as the co-founder, if he missed anything or if you have anything else to add to your side of the story. Can you unmute him?
Yeah,
Could you
can I
himself?
unmute?
Chris.
There we go.
Okay, we're gonna unmute you 1 second. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
Hey,
I asked him to
while
unmute.
we're doing that,
Oh, he has to do it
everyone,
himself?
Yeah.
I
would
think you
be
have to
great to see
unmute
your pictures.
yourself.
Yeah.
Do you see the unmute, the mute button?
in the-
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, good. Oh, I don't have to use that sign language. Yeah, well, the man who writes the history gets to leave that mark, and I pretty much don't talk about stuff too much. I just think about it all the time. And Ohio Silver was such a fundamental stepping stone for me, a leaping off point mostly. I still have things that I use that were from the shop, and have they been cut off now?
No,
No,
Oh, you're good.
oh, that was Joe got cut off.
Oh, sorry.
Though I jewelry's not, that little tiny stuff is, there's Marcia. Hi.
Hey,
It's, it's just tiny version of everything else. So, I mean, I still do all of that kind of stuff, and I'll come down to my workshop to sharpen an axe very carefully, or fix my glasses, or get a splinter out. The jewelry aspect doesn't apply a whole lot to people ornamenting their own bodies out here, because rings will pull your finger off, and I don't know how Tucker's gotten away with wearing a gold bracelet all these years. I'd have thought that had been ripped off a long time ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that gold bracelet, Dad, also has a bit of an Ohio Silver story too, right?
Oh yeah, it's that came from way back then. We had bought a gold rod that was maybe 24 inches long, and we all chipped in and got a piece of it. But the Celtics would take a gold bar like that and wrap it around their necks and make these beautiful, just a big hunk of metal that was, they usually ornamented it in some way, but it was just a big piece of metal, which to me is potential. I love potential.
Yeah.
Once you finish something, it's like not very interesting anymore.
Yeah. Wasn't there something about some witches who lived above the shop?
wait, that
Oh,
was
those gay,
That was
those gay
Judy.
bitches.
No, I'm not talking about Judy, I don't think. Dad,
Yeah,
do you
they
want
were
to
pretty
chime
cool.
in?
I'll
They
tell
were
the story. So
Oh.
remember those, there were those witches who moved in, they were like students at Antioch, and they lived upstairs, and they came down and they said, oh, can you make a special talisman from a certain metal at a certain time? And we're like, yeah, we can do that. with these markings on it. And so we made the thing for him. And then I said, hey, what kind of talisman should I make for myself? And they go, well, if you wear a gold ring on your pinky finger, that'll make you more, that'll protect you. And so I said, okay, a bracelet ought to work too.
That-
So it has been
Thus
working
is the
pretty well.
hard-on bracelet.
Yeah.
One
Would
of those
you,
girls named was Daryl. You know, there's so many people from back then, and after 50 years, you forget a lot of that stuff. But it's surprising how so much of it lingers when the jewelry's been stolen and melted and gone wherever it goes, to jewelry heaven. But
Mhm.
memories of people it's really important.
yeah. Well, I know, Judy, you said you're wearing some Ohio silver pieces tonight, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Tucker's earrings. Can you
Uh-huh.
see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, a little. Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll
dangling.
get closer.
Oh, yeah.
Those are Tucker's. The ring is Tucker's.
Whoa.
The bloodstone. This one
That's
I just
big.
found out is Carrie's.
All right.
And this one is Bill's. So Bill did a
Oh.
little silver work too.
Great.
I forgot about that.
You're representing,
I hadn't seen that in a long time,
One of each.
yeah,
except for Chris.
yeah. Dad, you said you don't have that much jewelry anymore, but I think it's because Judy has it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a lot of stuff from Ohio Silver. The leather bags that we made, all
Mhm.
kinds of things.
Yeah. So did you guys get what was a day in the shop like back then? Did you guys get a lot of customers? Was it more about the making and less about the selling, or paint us a little picture?
Ooh. The shop had a wooden floor, so when he started filing silver off, all the filings would go through the cracks of the floor. That was a very primitive workshop. We listened to music all the time, which is one of the things I remember most about Carrie. I mean, he made sure we were listening to good music. And it was Yellow Springs in the early 70s when there were music stores, and it was a pretty lively place. I think people like to just come in and watch, and we also like to just be there working.
We ought to
Working
add,
Hey,
Oh,
I lost it.
it's muted.
Sorry,
Unmuted.
Gary's muted.
you went back muted somehow. Oh, there you go. All right. What were you saying?
just, have you got me? Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
We rented the upstairs. Shortly after we got the shop going, we rented the upstairs, and Chris and I and Judy for a time all lived upstairs. And a nice side story. Unfortunately, I don't have it. My nephew was part of a crew that went and refurbished the upstairs. It's now really cool. But in the process of sort of peeling back layers and trashing stuff, they came across a piece of wood that was signed. Bill, I think you probably wrote it out, but it noted the fact that we had done this work in such and such a time. And so it's sort of funny that a little bit of urban archaeology, that we pulled this thing back and came across it.
Marcia, were you
Yeah.
saying, were you adding something? Oh, I don't think so.
He was.
Yeah.
The point is that we had the and the consequence was that I had a sound system that we could pipe downstairs, which was very nice. Kind of made things, I don't know. It was just we had a great time. I don't know how to characterize it and say there was something very satisfying about doing the work, but there was also something great about the camaraderie. A bunch of people getting together, all sort of with similar experiences, toward a particular end. It was just very enjoyable.
I want to add something in there. Joe asked about how busy the shop. The shop was really busy, especially on the weekends, but there were a lot of people coming and going. Because I remember you guys were trying, working on the jewelry and focus and always getting interrupted by either somebody who wanted you to, design something for them or repair something for them or sort of whatever. So there was a constant flow of people. From the day you opened, it was busy. I mean, it really, as I recall it, I had a little off to where the silver shop was. There was a little room and I had a leather bench set up, and that's where I did belts and, geez, we made leather jackets and buckskin shirts and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I remember, I had graduated from UD and then went out to California and took off a year before I went to Cal Arts. And so I spent a lot of it down there. And of course, that was pretty close to home and easy to do. And that's how I met Judy, Chris and I. Do you remember, Chris?
Yes, I do.
Huh?
That was a nice day.
Chris and I were on our motorcycles and we took a little, I don't even know where we were headed, but we went over, I guess, towards Fairborn, just outside Yellow Springs. It was an old abandoned Civil War brick house, farmhouse. And I remember he was riding his BMW, I remember. And we got off and walked in and wandered around and just checking it out. And then this lady pulls in a Volkswagen. We go, oh boy, we're in trouble now. We thought we were going to get run off. And turned out it was Judy. And she came in and she was just curious to see what the place was too. And then we visited, and then Chris and I went back to Ohio Silver, which wasn't very far. And thought that was the last we'd see of Judy. And we got into Yellow Springs and she was standing right in front of the shop. Remember that?
Oh yeah. She was a match made in heaven.
Well, what's interesting, that happened. I'm going to tell you the day it happened on. It was November 14th, 1971.
Wow.
50 years ago on the 14th. Her birthday's on the 17th. We've been together every day since then. 50 years.
That's
See?
amazing.
Huh?
It's
And-
an
and-
Ohio love story.
Yep, 50 years. And it's all because Ohio Silver. Is that funny? Maybe that was
No,
the
it's
best
'cause
thing to
Judy-
come out of
'cause
it.
Judy was a good hit, man. She's the best you could come up with. She was something else.
Well, we've been
I've
together.
been
Thank you, Chris.
It is.
It's been a lot of, when I think of Ohio Silver, I mean, I really, it's like a landmark with our, Judy and I being together all of these years and 1,000 adventures for sure, but that's the first one. That's how it got started. Yeah, and I never will forget it.
Wow,
Cool.
very cool.
Mhm.
Magic in that story.
It was. I mean, it's a big deal. That's why I look at the old pictures and everything, and all of us. It was fun. We had a good time. Everybody was a little different. Carrie was always. I love Carrie's kind of kinetic little machines he was making, sculptures. I don't know if you still do that or not, Carrie. Do you?
Not much. It's shifted over somewhat different, but I'm thinking I'd like to get back to that at some point soon.
I remember those things that you did. They were
Yeah.
wonderful.
I think the point that I'd make about that is that, jewelry and there's not, sculpture is generally bigger than jewelry.
Usually.
Jewelry has to fit on a finger, or you have to make two of them for ears, but you're really dealing with the same kinds of questions and dealing with the same kinds of, everything I knew about jewelry had direct application to everything that I did when I started messing around with.
Yeah.
So it's almost like there's no distinction between the two. Some people don't like hearing that, but I never saw much of a difference.
Yeah, it's just little sculpture.
It is. It's little sculptures that coincidentally you can wear. It's I guess you can say that it's like portable wealth and all that stuff, but you know, no. And Chris, I'd agree with you. It's like, it's the making that's the fun. When you get done with it, it's kind of like, well, here, maybe somebody else wants this. I'm tired of it. I want to move on to something else to have fun with.
That
Gary,
was
you know,
I think that was one of the problems that we had at Ohio Silver, was that if we sold something, we were like pissed off because then we had to make another one. And if we didn't,
I
sell it,
remember that.
we were just poor. We didn't have any money, so it was like either way we lost it. It seemed like.
One thing
Yeah.
that really impressed me, I subjected myself to 70th high school reunion back in Yellow Springs this past September. Met in the Grinnell Mill, that's the first time I've ever been in the Grinnell Mill. Hung out there, and what really amazed me was how many people came up and said, "Oh, Ohio Silver, yeah, but yeah, I've still got my rings. Oh, I remember this."
We actually have Gwen Agna in
Hello,
the
Gwen.
Zoom. She says, Carrie, that you made her wedding rings with her
Well,
husband,
it's-
Tom.
Well, I'm glad to see that it's still there.
Yeah.
It
Are
must
you
be-
here?
it's
Do you
still
want to show us
We're
the
still
ring?
married. Yeah, I think
There you
your
are.
ring ensured that we would stay together.
Okay, all right. Well, good. I'm glad to see that. I am gratified.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So did you guys do a lot of special orders back then, or were you sort of just making whatever you felt like it? You guys said people would come in, they would ask for repairs, they would ask for this and that.
There's yes.
Well,
Yeah,
it
we
was always
order stuff, and we did a lot of production stuff. I think we sort of figured out that if we made a dozen of something, we could defray the cost, make it a little less expensive. So oftentimes we do a kind of a production run on things, but
yeah, but it was always harder to make something special than to make, because half the things we made were like, whoa, well, this looks good. Well, I can make this into an earring, or here's a bracelet I made. But
I was trying to make a ring, but it's awful large. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where were you guys getting your inspiration from?
I would say a lot of our inspiration came from what was right in front of our face. Like, oh, hey, look, this looks like a fish. I can make it into a bracelet or something like that, as opposed to, looking in books and trying to copy something.
Yeah.
I don't remember you guys copying much. I
Way
really
before the
don't.
internet.
Yeah, that was, what you did was pretty original. And you did a lot of stuff with wire. There was a lot of loopy, kind of twisty S curves, and you were good stone setters. You were really good and fast at it. And you used a lot of little dots of silver too, little beads, pounded and soldered on. I remember that. But each one of you had an incredibly different style, very different. I mean, it was very obvious. But they did a lot of custom orders. It was perpetually all day. It was a busy jumping joint. It was, the only break was to go over and get a hamburger. That was it. Over at Dick's. Huh?
Well, those hamburgers was called a Wimpy, right?
Yeah, Wimpy. Oh, hell yeah. We must have had 1,000 of them. Huh? I think we'd eat those 2 or 3 times a day.
No, maybe you did.
Where else was there to go?
Yeah.
But they were good.
They were. When I was back in Yellow Springs, I was disappointed it wasn't there.
We also used to go over to Comms.
Comms,
Yeah, I
right.
remember Comms. Is that still there?
No.
No. Building's still there, but there was some sort of zoning issue, and when it closed enough ago.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds like Sounds like you guys made a lot, but you also had a lot of fun. I heard a lot of people reminiscing about some coins that had been
The
attached
diamonds,
to the floor or attached
the
to
diamonds.
yeah, what was that?
That was funny. I can't remember if Chris or Tucker or Carrie who did it. It was the funniest thing where they take a silver dime and solder a nail on the other side, and
Uh-huh.
then they'd put it in on the threshold on the door. So when people were walking in and out, they wanted to see how they started out, I think it was quarters, and people, because quarter was something then, and they'd bend over and pick up a quarter, but to get it out, you'd bust your fingernail, you know? And they said, how little, so then they went to dimes, and then people bending over to pick up dime. And of course they get bumped over there in the doorway and they break their fingernails off. I remember there was one guy, he actually pried that nail out. I don't know how he did it. But he said, look at this. And I don't know, Tucker, you remember, I think you called them diamonds.
Yeah, no, that was another ring I made where I soldered a silver dime onto a ring and called it a diamond ring.
Was that it? Okay, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. I thought the diamond was the thing you tack down to.
No,
Wasn't that a Rodney Bean thing? Didn't he sort of introduce the idea to us?
yeah, I think so.
Almost
He did-
certain.
I think he did it by epoxy. It was when epoxy first came out, and he
Oh, right.
glued a bunch of coins in front of the bank.
Yeah, right.
But it still
Good
worked.
idea. Hey, Chris,
Sold
do
a
you,
lot of jewelry that way.
Chris, do you still have that big Mercedes sign?
No, man, a picker came and got it from me, and I let him take a whole bunch of stuff, and pickers are the worst. They take the best stuff, and there you are left with the dregs. But
It does
I
happen.
thought of you that I've thought of you. That was a gem.
Yeah.
That
You know
was-
what else was a great piece? Remember the Mary, the big wooden carved Mary, Richard Zoff got it
Yeah,
after I closed the shop.
he
Richard's
still
on there.
has that.
And he does still have it. And
Oh,
it was,
yeah,
I
they-
remember he stripped it so it didn't look quite so scary.
Well, now I thought they thought it was funny stripping the Virgin Mary, but I thought it was a good paint job.
It was a
No.
good paint job.
Yeah.
I bought that at St. Vincent de Paul. I gave $15 for it.
No shit.
15 bucks. Life-size carved wooden Mary. It was perfect.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a real beautiful thing.
I still think about that piece,
Hey,
It's
you
in his living room.
but I couldn't take it to California with me.
No, well,
Yeah,
you can't take everything. Bill, you've gone through a lot of stuff.
Oh, I have great stuff,
Yeah.
and I still got more. It breeds.
Dad, are you
Yeah.
trying to? Tucker, you want to say something?
I want to get back to Ohio Silver.
All right.
So, and I think
Oh.
there's some people in the audience, like Roz was an important person in Ohio Silver because she, we, all of us had so much attachment to our work that we really didn't want to sell it very much. But Roz was like, she loved selling stuff. Want to say something, Roz?
Yeah, it drove me crazy when I go in there and you guys would be like, yeah, party, yeah, smoke, we're gonna make some jewelry, yeah, we're having a good time, and there'd be millions of customers and nobody buying anything, or they'd be haggling prices, and I'm like, what are you doing? No, don't, you're giving it away, So I kind of stepped in with my big mouth, and just when I was in town, I stop in and help them out. And I'm so happy to see Marcia really taking the retail thing and growing it to where it is today. So kudos to you, Marcia.
Thank you, Roz.
Yeah.
Marcia, do you want to tell us a little bit about your relationship with Ohio Silver?
Could you repeat?
Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Ohio Silver and how things are going today.
Well, we keep winning best jewelry store in the Dayton area, which always amazes me because we do it against people who sell gold and diamonds. But if you think about what people, they do that once in their life, and then what do they wear the rest of the time? So we must have what they wear the rest of the time.
Mhm.
And, yeah. So looking back on things 50 years later, what do you guys think was sort of the biggest impact Ohio Silver had on you?
Ooh.
That's a, I would say, first of all, that, one of the reasons why I organized this reunion is because it had a huge impact on me. And I don't think it's a very embedded in my whole existence. The idea of being able to make whatever we want, being like having the Yellow Springs community be so supportive and being like, and hanging out with my brother so much and everybody. I think that it was a great, it was more than just 2 years of an experience.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice comment.
I'll
Anyone
speak
else?
up.
Yeah.
For me, it was just a continuation of what I'd been doing because it was funny. I found an article the other day and I was 17 and I had just won a Scholastic Award for my jewelry and it was being shown in Washington. And it said I had been peddling jewelry since high school. So I'm still peddling jewelry all these years later. And I feel good about supporting, I still enjoy making jewelry. I hate to say it, but the beautiful National Cash Register that came along with Ohio Silver, I was driving through a town and I found a beautiful workbench that was, it has a roll top and it's a jeweler's bench. So that's what I have these days. I don't really want to make it for money. I enjoy making jewelry once in a while for friends at this point. So.
Well, wait, what happened to cash register?
I traded it for the workbench.
Oh,
Hate to say it, but it was a little archaic.
I remember right, that cash register only went to about $10, didn't it?
Yeah, it was an old antique,
Candy store.
antique National Cash Register.
Candy
but-
store. Yeah.
Yes, but it was a good trade.
I
It
think-
was a good trade. So, I mean,
I
so
think
I was,
we stole that from Dad, right?
what?
I think we stole that from
You
my
stole that
father.
from your father, right?
Mm.
and it came from the log cabin barber shop, I think.
Did it really?
Oh, Squire's
Yeah.
Barber Shop. I used to get my
Yeah,
haircut
yeah.
there. Squire. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about there's a Grant Disler's over there, and he was one of the Antioch students who used to hang around Ohio Silver. What do you think, Grant?
Well, I thought I was hanging around with my friends and having a lot of fun until you reminded me that actually I used to come around and bother you guys all the time. I had never perceived it that way, but I'll tell you, I remember walking into, the first time I met Chris was when your store was about this wide, and I had been on a co-op job in Los Angeles and decided to make some jewelry, and I bought some silver wire and I bought some solder and I bought a plumber's torch, and I'm sitting in my bedroom and I made something that, sort of a necklace thing with some African trade bead on it or something. So I brought it in and showed it to Chris, and he kind of looked it over and he said, I think I should show you how to solder. And that was that. He proceeded to teach me how to solder and do a lot of other stuff. And I probably did bother you guys a lot because I hung out there a lot for a couple of years.
No, you worked too.
And I worked too. I made stuff that people actually bought from time to time. I loved working behind the cash register, especially when Roz would come to town. That was really, things would really heat up. And it was fun. She really, no, it was a great place to hang out and led to a lot of great adventures in Ohio and in California and Canada and around the world, but I haven't made any jewelry for a long time, but I agree with Tucker, his point, and Chris, especially about this culture of making. Your first question is, can I make this? Not where can I order this on the internet? And it, led to a lot of really funky gadgets and tools and contraptions and homemade auto repairs on the road, and great, a lot of fun. Because when you travel with jewelry tools, you can fix a lot of shit that breaks down along the way. So anyway, it's great to see familiar faces here, and thanks for inviting me. And Richard Zopp, I see down there. Hello, Richard. You're kind of at the wrong end of the binoculars there. Can you get any closer to the camera? Oh, there he is. How you doing?
I still only get 4 images.
Oh, man.
Oh, brother.
What
This is a special occasion when I can say that and mean it.
Oh, brother. Well, I'm enjoying every moment, though. That's good. Nice to see you, Grant.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
So I'm a classmate of Tucker's. Tucker and I went to Pratt for a couple of years, and then he left for Ohio. And so we reconvened. But the comment, Grant, about doing things with your hands. So I'm still teaching in addition to working as a designer. And it's really interesting to get these students that are coming in from various schools, and they don't know how to use their hands. They really have a difficult time understanding how to use their hands. They now anticipate using rapid prototyping, all kinds of computerized digital tools. And I say, no, make it with your hands. And they look at me, well, how? It's a disease.
Uh-oh. Hey.
I
What
would say
about-
it's a paradigm shift for all intents and purposes. With technology able to do so many different things, it plants that. I agree with you. I don't know how to do anything without using my hands, and I'm always sort of taken aback that it doesn't seem to occur to a lot of the students that I've dealt with. But they figure it out. I had somebody who was diligently working away on, it was a necklace, I think, and gathered a bunch of YouTubes and had sent off for materials, and she was working really well. The problem, of course, is that you can't tell people how something feels in a YouTube, but she was making it. I don't know how to characterize it and say, yeah, there's a change. There's definitely a change. Tactility is such an important consideration, or at least it was for me. To be able to feel a slight deviation in something, to see a curve that wasn't fair, all of that stuff was all very important. I agree with you guys too. There was something very satisfying about presenting yourself with a challenge, that there was something that needed to be done and you had to figure out how to make it happen. Just something enormously satisfying about resolving a technical question. And that continued for me right into doing sculptural work as well. It just, like I said earlier, it was just a question of scale. Sculpture was generally somewhat bigger, and you didn't have to wear it.
I think you should hear from one of your customers. Hi, Chris. I also want to say hi to Chris and Rosie and Tucker. I was just in the store last week and did some Christmas shopping, which I do every year there. It's lovely. I had my ears pierced at the age of 60. Yes, I did. Because my grandchild, one of my grandchildren, my granddaughter who was 6 or 7 or 8, I don't remember, way back when, had her ears pierced. And I finally decided if she can do it, I can do it. And I said, Caitlin, come with me. I'm going someplace and I want to get my ears pierced. It's a secret. So we walked down to Ohio Silver and she said, are you scared, Grandma? I said, well, I'm not exactly scared, but I'm sort of nervous. And she said, well, when I had my ears pierced, I took my teddy bear. I said, Caitlin, you are my teddy bear. So these are the earrings I bought, my first pierced earrings.
Oh, wow.
At Ohio Silver. I think it was in 1992.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, and the earrings look great. We also
Wow.
have David Northway here. He said that Tucker made his wedding ring. And he still wears a cast silver belt buckle that Chris made for him.
Go figure. Where's David?
David's not on video, but I think he's listening.
Oh, okay.
He was walking somewhere. I think he was going to get in his car.
Do we have any other audience questions or comments?
Hey, Joe, it's Mike. So Tucker, Chris, tell the Phil Donahue story, because he was a man that was always on TV when I wasn't at school, and everybody told me that you guys made a ring for him, and that was like your most famous client back in the day. So is that story, is it a myth or is it real?
We were proud that he came to Ohio Silver and bought a gift for his mother, which I believe was on Mother's Day. But what he ended up buying was something that Cassie Maneri had made, who was a young girl that was just like fascinated with what was going on. And she got a chance at the workbench for some reason and learned how to make stuff. And wow, so she gets the score and sells it to Phil Donahue. Can't complain though. At least we sold him something.
Yeah.
Most unusual customer that I had, and I don't know when it was exactly. This was in the old building, and a series of there were workbenches in a back area, and you could look out into the sales area. And a young couple came in with a kid. It was winter. Everybody was bundled up in many layers of clothing. The kid had a snowsuit on, and I was doing something, and I looked back at the kid a moment later, and there was something odd about the kid had really long arms. Kind of like, oh, and I finally get up and go talk to them. I was done with whatever I was doing. I went out, looked, and the kid was a chimpanzee. It's poor kid. Nice chimpanzee, a pleasant chimpanzee. It would sort of play with you. You know, I can't remember. I guess they bought something. I don't remember much about it, but
The Egyptian. Wasn't
What's
that his
that?
name? Wasn't he called the Egyptian or something? He was an automobile painter in Dayton or something.
well, yeah, I remember somebody like that. But yeah, I think maybe you're right. Maybe I can't remember. There was also
lucky.
the airplane lady. Bailey was her name.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Carol
And-
Gray Bosca.
Yeah, right.
And she wanted me to make a little silver airplane for her mother. And she's a well-known jewelry designer and maker in Gloucester, Massachusetts now.
Okay.
I like to think we inspired her somehow. She went to school and took classes.
Well, I would say
maybe she inspired her to not do what we did. I don't know.
But I have to say that the most famous person that we inspired is Ted Muelling. And I think that his becoming a jeweler, and I don't think he likes that title, but anyway, is the origins are at at Ohio Silver, because when we were in school together, he was trying to make jewelry, and I said, hey, that's not so hard to make, I'll show you how to do it. And because of that, he realized that he could make his own stuff and make it easier than he thought. And Chris came up to New York and worked with him, and I think that we because of us, he is doing what he's doing today.
Show a man to solder and you won't have to feed him. Right, Grant?
Right, you give a man a soldering iron, he makes jewelry for a week. You teach him how to solder, right? No, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a question from Jamer. He says, looking back, was there an Ohio Silver House style? Ohio modern? Hippie nouveau?
Hippie nouveau.
Yeah.
You know, the style, it was really more a matter of the materials we're working with. You know, you can bend wire only so many ways, and you know, there were certainly things that we did, but we were really limited with the materials, I guess is the best way to put it. Then we discovered casting. Casting suddenly was this much more pliable, much more plastic set of possibilities, and you remember when we took we took some wet clay and kind of hollowed out a shape inside of the two pieces together and poured molten silver in, and it fizzed and popped and carried on. I wonder if it didn't blow up in our faces.
You built your own centrifuge, as if I remember, didn't you?
I think it was a commercial one. I think it was commercially.
I remember you had it,
but
the lost wax.
It was
We put it in
located
a wash tub.
stuck inside a big wash tub, you know, because when you let it go, it flings metal around, and you don't want it traveling across the room and hitting you. So,
Right,
so
you're
put it
left.
down in a wash tub.
Well, if
But
there's
I think
a style, I would say that, you know, unique, just beautiful, unique stones, handcrafted, well-designed and made well is something that started at the beginning and has carried through. It is still like that today.
Thank you.
But
Well,
I don't
I
have to
see.
make all of it anymore.
Yeah, I see Lisa says that I said the house style was hippie.
Hippie.
And I think there's something to that, but I think
No,
also
you didn't
part
say
of the,
you didn't say hippie. You said hip e.
That's
As
okay.
in hippish. Well, that's what the time was. You know, it was like, I had just gotten back from Woodstock. You know, it was the streets of Yellow Springs were crawling with hippies.
but I
also-
think part of it, I would say part of the hippie thing I was talking about is the kind of like idea like, hey, let's try that. What's it, you know, here's a new idea. What about that? So
I think some of it too is, you know, we all, to varying intervals, served time working for Mahan, and that sort of opened possibilities too. He had his own designs, which were kind of, yeah, they were okay. Neither here nor there. But it sort of got the wheels turning. It's like, oh, if you can do that, you can do this. If you can do this, you can do this. So it was very much a kind of a sequential process.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think we bounced off of each other a fair amount too.
Yeah, that was the most important part.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Tucker come up with something that was really interesting or would influence me, and I think, well, if they do it that way, maybe I can do this way. Sort of a sequential thing. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that there was a style per se. It was just making jewelry.
I remember when spoon rings and spoon bracelets were the rage, and some girl brought in a spoon, and Chris dutifully made a ring or a bracelet for her of it. And a couple of days later, her mother showed up in the store, pilfering the silver from the drawer without asking, and had it made. And remember that, Chris? Maybe that happened more than once.
Ooh, that'd be rough.
Yeah. Parents have to watch out for their silver. Wow. Melted a lot of good flatware.
I think you guys used to buy scrap that people brought in, didn't you?
Yeah, I still have some. I can't.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I just sold like 8 iced teaspoons. They're extra long. This woman wanted some spoons. I might have some, and I dug down through, it was the bottom box of the pile, and I must have gone through 100 spoons, but there's this set of 8 spoons, and I'm sure, I probably bought them for $8 an ounce and sold them for 24. But it was a friend. I always sell stuff to friends, it seems like. But I don't know how long I had them. I've got, hey, if you need any spoons? I've got a lot of spoons.
You never can have too many spoons, can you?
No.
Not if they're silver.
Check this out, Bill. This is like a cast brass door knocker, like my dad's door knocker on the front of the door.
Yeah.
And it's made from melted bullet shells.
Really?
Oh, which is cool. I mean,
it is cool.
All that silver dust that went through the floors in that building, I really hate to think how many pounds were in there. But boy, every little bit. I
remember that bothered you at the time. It made me think of the movie Paint Your Wagon and the saloon where the gold dust went through the floor and they went down and mined it. Yeah, I remember that.
I'm surprised you guys never came up with some sort of contraption to
like putting linoleum down on the floor to catch it instead of the cracks.
Yeah.
That never happened. We're waiting for the silver magnet. Somebody said they had a silver magnet. We kept
I
waiting.
think we were just gonna saw up the floor, pull up the boards and send them in and have them refined. Melt it down. No, at that point, silver was relatively expensive, but it wasn't so prohibitively expensive. I guess it's a good thing we didn't work much with gold. That would have been a different story.
Yeah,
but that was $35 an ounce.
Yeah. Right.
I staked out a gold claim in the Dawson City, Yukon Territory in '69, and gold was $35 an ounce. I remember.
Yep.
That was all it was. What happened?
I don't know. I think my dad has another video he wants to share to close things out.
Oh, okay.
Does anyone have any other comments before he shows it? Other questions?
Well, it sure is good to see everyone, and thank you, Joe. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Marcia. Thanks for coming.
Julie and Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Good
Thank
night.
you, Tucker.
For sharing.
Movie
Great
time.
to see everybody.
Chris's cast silver buckle.
Oh,
Oh,
can't see it.
Can you see it now?
where are you? Do you want to pause the movie for a second, Dad? I think we're
It's not. It's just a really pretty design.
Hold it up.
Oh,
Let's
there
see
it is. David's holding it.
Wow,
Can everyone
Marcia.
see David?
I can't see him.
The turquoise. You're better off, Chris.
Oh yeah, there you go.
All right.
Oh yeah, that was a great one. Looked very Navajo.
Let me see it. Wish we could.
Wow, Marcia.
I think that's a very nice music to go out on too.
Yeah. I don't know.
What?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
That's it. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thanks. I wish I could have got to see a lot more than 4 images at once.
Tucker, I want to thank you for putting this all together.
Thank you, Tucker.
It was good to see Chris and Carrie and everybody else. It's been a long
No.
time. Too long.
kidding.
Too long.
We should get together in person.
Yeah, while we still
That would
can.
be great.
Yeah, that would be really great.
Come to the cantina. Drinks are on me.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, now can you
Thank
hear
you,
me?
Thank you.
And hi to Patty Moore, and I see Julie and Tony. Hi to them.
Hi.
And Priscilla, I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Hi, I just want to say congratulations. I made it to 36 years. Across
pretty
the
good.
street.
That's
Easter
right.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So Marcia
And-
and I've been holding down the fort.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations to you too. Who would have thought?
Really.
We were just having fun.
There we
It's creative. Anyway, just want to
Well-
say hi.
You know, I was thinking a little bit ago about a lot of the Yellow Springers when they had the shop started. And one of them I was thinking of is Gar Keaton
Yeah.
and his stories. He was a character.
Was.
I think he still is.
I
Yes,
think
he is.
Yeah.
I believe he
Hi,
is.
Julie.
It's a-
Hi. I know I only have like
she is.
15% left, but my husband, who is working now, said this was the first thing he ever bought in 1990 at Ohio Silver, and he still uses it.
Wow.
Nice money clip, huh?
Yeah.
Still have my star.
Oh, there's Richard. Oh, look, there's Richard with the Madonna.
Where?
I heard you. I heard
Oh,
you.
yeah,
I heard
there
you.
he is.
I heard you.
Oh, they got the Madonna. I'm glad you've taken care of it, Richard.
The Madonna.
Which Madonna?
I don't know.
What's the story of the Madonna?
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
when I had my leather shop, I found that at St. Vincent de Paul for $15. It was all painted in those days, and I'm not religious at all, but it was a great piece of wood carving, and I stuck it in the leather shop. I remember I put a leather peace symbol on her forehead. Those were the days. And it was in the shop until I sold it, and that's the only thing actually I withheld from the sale. And then I sold it to, I think I gave it to Richard. I don't remember.
Oh, there's Tony.
Yeah, and but that was one piece I let go of. I always missed, but you've taken good care of it, so I figure it's okay.
Yep. She's had a roof over her head all the time.
Oh, nice.
There she is. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Chris.
All right.
Really cool to see everyone still using and wearing all of their Ohio Silver pieces. So thank you guys for all sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to
Nice.
give a shout out to Laura Rader, who just had knee surgery today.
Yes.
I wish she could have been here to participate,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
let's
Yeah,
hope she heals up fast.
Is it a silver
Maybe
knee?
next time.
Yeah, maybe it's titanium and silver. Who knows?
Keep it going, Marcia.
Yeah, well, hey.
So to Ohio Silver, I have to say, more than anything, I guess, is that Judy and I are together
Oh,
50
Aw.
years, all because of
Yay.
the shop. And Chris,
Well, I
it's
guess we
something
did something right.
it's something we always think of.
oh.
Aw.
Sorry.
Gary.
I'm not. It's amazing.
How about
A casual
that
bump in
note-
like that in the last 50 years. My
And good to
goodness.
see you, Carrie. I haven't seen you in forever.
Yeah.
It's been a while, hasn't it, Judy?
You haven't
Yes.
changed a bit.
No.
Oh, that's not exactly true. Not exactly true.
I think we're all lucky to be on the right side of the grass.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
all right? I don't know how much more of this we can take.
I think we should all go get a beer.
Me too.
Let's go over to the old Trail Tavern.
Oh, Tucker.
Cheers.
Some of us are ready. Those Steinhubers are on the ball.
We're working.
We're working.
All right.
All right. Well,
And
thank you.
Chris, hi to Lee.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Me.
Yeah, say hi to Lee.
Chris, if you come out here, I'll let you ride the buffalo.
Oh, boy.
Oh, right.
I want to ride buffalo.
It's great
Totally
fun.
It
Yeah.
looks like it.
That
Marcia,
buffalo's
you're
getting more
past due
famous
for
than
your
you.
visit.
I know. I'm really missing New Mexico and visiting you guys.
I found lots of cool new
Let's have our
spots.
next reunion there.
Okay.
Great. They got enough room. We can sit
Yeah,
them
we
all
do.
in.
We do. Buku room.
You're all invited.
Thank you.
Adios,
you.
as they say it out. Ohio Silver, away.
Away.
Woohoo!
Ciao.
Thank you,
Bye,
Tucker, for putting it
Bye.
together.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Good to see you all.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Joyce.
How do we turn
Yeah,
this off?
Joyce is calling from
Bye,
Brazil.
guys.
I think Tucker turns this off.
I think Joyce is the one that's the farthest away. She's in Brazil. Right?
What? Where's Yoshiko?
Brazil. So this-
She's in New York.
Where's Yoshiko?
Good to see everybody.
Susan.
Susan.
It's good to see everybody.
For your sisters and brothers, Tucker, you must say to them that you have a sister in Brazil. This is the really point.
To my sister in Brazil.
Period. Okay.
Joy.
Bye-bye. Bye, Chris.
See?
Okay, I love the meeting.
I think it's okay.
I think we must be done.
And I have to go to work, okay? I am a working person. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. Yeah.
Good night.
Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Jojo, Lulu, Yoshiko, my darling, my dear. Bye.
Bye.